Okay, we want to make sure that we know how to add and subtract integers. And just remembering integer is any whole number. So that can be positive numbers, which will always show up on the right side of a number line. Or it could also be negative numbers that could show up on the left side of our number line. In this example, we're going to start with a pretty simple problem that we already know how to do. If we were to take a problem like 3 plus 2, we could show that by moving 3 spaces over on my number line and then adding 2 extra spaces to that, and I can see that I ended up at space 5. Likewise, we could do an equation like 2 minus 1. We could start at 2 and subtract 1 from that, and we know that we equal 1. So we're already familiar with part of this when we're adding and subtracting with our number lines. It does get a little bit more challenging, however, when we start to work with negative numbers, and so that's kind of what we are looking at practicing. In this example, we'll draw another number line here. We'll have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll just go up to 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll go to negative 5 here. In this case, if we were to give ourselves a different example, like 5 plus a negative 2, we're going to see something a little bit different than what we've seen before. So on this case, this process is still the same. I start at 5. This time, instead of adding positive numbers, meaning that I'm going to the right, I'm going to add negative numbers, meaning that I'm going to the left. So I've added positive 1, and now I've added positive 2, and I end up at 3. This equation is mathematically ends up being the same as 5 minus 2 is equal to 3. We end up with the same thing happening here, really because we're adding a negative number along with what we're doing. We could also take a look at this instead of using a number line, as we could take a look at this with the use of positive and negative symbols. So if I were to show that here, I could show positive symbol, positive symbol, positive symbol, positive symbol, positive symbol. I've got 5 positive symbols to represent my number 5 that started right there. I also have to add to this equation 2 negative symbols, and so I'm going to do that right there. If we remember, what I have circled right here is equal to 0, because positive 1 plus negative 1 is equal to 0, and that happens twice. So all that I'm left with is what I've circled here in orange, and that is a total of 3. And so that confirms our answer that we had. Let's take a look at this with subtracting negative numbers as well. In this case, we can have the equation 5. Actually, no, I'm going to choose a different number. I'm going to choose 2 plus 2 minus, because we said we were going to subtract negative numbers, minus a negative 3. Okay, in this case, I'm going to start out representing this with those plus and minus symbols. And so if I start with 2 plus symbols right here, I've got a plus symbol and a plus symbol. That represents 2. I'm being asked to take away 3 negative symbols, but my problem is that right now I don't have any negative symbols to take away. So I need to add some negative symbols, but in adding negative symbols I need to remember I can't change the value of what I started with, which was 2. So if I add a plus and a minus, I've added 0. This right here is worth a 0, so I haven't changed anything. And I could repeat that process a few times until I have 3 negative symbols that I can get rid of. So I've done that twice, and here's my third time. I will do that again right there, and now I have 3 negative symbols that I can actually get rid of. So following my process, I've done 2, and now I'm going to subtract -3. Well, -1, -2, -3, and what I'm left over with is right there is a total of 5. I could also show this same equation on a number line. I'm going to put 0 right here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And my starting point was at a 2. So I've shown that there. And this time I'm going to take away, but this time I'm taking away negative numbers. I need to take that part away from it, which is a little funky. So I'm going to take that part away there. 2, 3, and I end up with a positive 5. One of the ways that we demonstrated this when we talked about it is using a vertical number line. Sometimes that's easier to think about. And if you think about a vertical number line and balloons going up, when you have balloons added, those are positive numbers, and weight down at the bottom being negative numbers and being subtracted. If you take the weight away, that part disappears. Your balloon is going to go up. So when you subtract those negative numbers, it makes your number actually increase as we are going forward. So let's look at our positive and negative numbers and how we add and subtract with them using both those plus minus symbols as well as our number lines.